One, two. One, two. 3, 4, 3, 4.
hear any more about the earthquake in Chile and any deaths or anything? It was a big one, 8.3.
Tsunami hit Hawaii last night, it's supposed to hit at 2 a.m.
I
Was
asked
it?
my,
At 2 a.m. it's supposed to
I was
hit.
talking to my son today, he's in LA, and he was on his way to the beach, he was surfing, and I said, well, you know, there was an earthquake in Chile, and the waves were supposed to be pretty choppy, and he said, oh, I said, I don't know, I said, well, call me, let me know.
Yeah, that was on the
Heard from
news
him,
this
so-
morning.
Well, there's
record show that we have 3 of 5 board members present. And I will need a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll move to adopt the agenda. We have to move it up.
Yeah, let me know. You all set? All right, we are reconvening to public session. So we're at item 12. We will be discussing the proposed revisions to policy HD, meet and confer styles, methods, and procedures. And so I will open it up to the board for discussion.
Well, I'll be the first one to jump in. I am very concerned. We've been trying to, as a district, move forward in a positive and productive way. It doesn't make it any easier when the state keeps cutting our funding, and I know that that is part of the issue. As much as we all wish we could do bigger raises, you can only do so much with what you have. Another concern that I have has to do with, while people can still voice their concerns, I'm still concerned with their voices being at the table fully. And I don't think that the proposed policy really allows for that.
I think my input on this is, as I have gone to 9 years of these law conferences, and I've had a lot of
Stop. Stop going to those.
and, and I think that it's really good for our learning as board members as we go there. And as I've gone there, many of the classes that are there, they talk about the best practices. And what I've seen before us is a couple policy changes that I feel are not conducive to best practices. And what I mean by best practices is that they're very specific in how things should be done. And I, as a board member, have learned, that if we take the power away from our superintendent, who we have hired to be in charge of this process, that I really think it's detrimental to the best practice, and I really, we can take it away, but I don't really feel. I feel like as we get together as a board and we discuss these policies, that I think that we give direction. And that is our role as a board. We just give direction. These are the things that we would like done, and this is how we would like the information, to come back to us. And the policies that have been brought to us are really specific, and I just don't feel that is a best practice for our district, and I really think that we should consider that. And I'm going to back what Ms. Bartels said also, is that I really feel like the policy that we already have in place and the direction that we already give our superintendent is good, because it invites all stakeholders to be a part of the discussion. So, and I feel that, maybe, after having this discussion, and we've had GA that has come to us and they said they would like more people, maybe that's a direction that we give our superintendent, but I don't feel like it should be in writing that this is it, and this is the only way that it should be. So that is my input. And I guess just, giving someone a 2-minute address the public if they're not in the group that can do it, I don't feel that that's the right way either, because these other people would have had, lots of time to state their concerns in the meeting, and if you don't let a certain group be a part of it, and their only way to come to us is in public comments, which is 2 minutes, I really think that is not the right way either. So that's something that we should look at in these policies if we're going to be that specific.
Well, I think, we've been talking about this now for a couple of months, and the GEA had conducted a card survey, and over half of the staff voted, came back and to us with the results, and all in favor of having the GEA be the negotiating representative. And really what that said to me more than anything was they were unhappy with the way things were. With the IBN process, they were not satisfied with the way things had gone down over the past several years. And I think coming to the board and asking us to consider a policy with that in mind, I think it's only right that we take that into consideration. It was over half of the staff, and I think we have to keep that in mind. Of the staff, not teachers, but of the staff came back and said, this is the way we want it. But you know, we keep talking like this proposed policy is, that's it. It's never going to change. It's going to be that way now forever and ever and ever. Policies can change. If it doesn't work the way it was intended to work, if there are problems down the road, it can be changed. But I think that the staff needs to we need to let them know they've been heard. We've heard them. We've heard them, we're acting, and if things don't work out, we can come back with another proposed policy change. There was a proposed policy that was another one brought to us today, and so now we have 2 proposed policies that we're looking at. I would like to stick with the one and take a look at that first, vote on it, and if it doesn't go through, then take a look at that second policy. That's my feeling. But I think as a board, we need to look at what the staff has said. And they did it. And whether you want to think that there were some that didn't vote and it was not right and they should be able to vote. Well, no, they had the opportunity. If I don't go to a general election and vote, I can't complain about who was placed in office. I had the opportunity to go and let my voice be heard, and I chose not to. So that's the way I look at it, and I also think that proposed policy needs to be voted on first before we look at anything else.
I don't think it was understood in the presentation that was presented to us and what I saw. I don't think that it really said, okay, that they understood, oh, if you sign this, that we are only going to be the only ones that are going to represent you. I don't really feel that that's the way that it was presented there, because the policy wasn't there. They're saying, would you like us to be part of the negotiations? Sure, why not? But it didn't explain, like, oh, well, guess what? You know, if you sign this, and what does it mean if you say yes, and what does it mean if it says no? It's just like, do you want us to be a part of this, or do you not?
But we can pick apart that all we want, and we can just go down that road, and that'll be a never-ending road. How this should have been changed and that word should have been changed. The simple fact is they did a card drive. They did it quite well. It was very thorough. It was very thought out. And I didn't see any holes in that. And the staff was clear in that they wanted, however you think that it read, that they wanted the GEA to be their sole representative at the negotiations table. And that really is the bottom line.
Well, let me ask this. Is there anything to prevent any other group from forming and being formally seen, whether it's non-classified or administrators, and then asking for the same privilege of being able to come and have a meet and confer for their group?
I believe that they can, and I don't know if this was part of the question, but I did have at least one administrator in recent weeks throw out the thought or idea of the administrators forming their own association and then requesting to negotiate directly with whoever the board designates or the superintendent designates as the negotiation body, but that was something that was has at least been thought of. So and maybe Jennifer can clarify, But I believe that, of course, any classified employees or administrators who may not be in agreement could go out and form their own group and then ask to be part of a negotiations process. And then, of course, we would need to, as the superintendent and the governing board, determine how or if we want to do that, because my understanding of the law is that we are not obligated to negotiate with anybody, but we do so in a good faith effort. So that's, I don't know if I answered your question.
Because
Or would you add anything to that? Did Ms. Bennett take the mic?
I don't think one was over there. They've been using the small one.
Madam President, Mr. Quintana, members of the board, Mr. Quintana's recital of his understanding of the law is correct in that the governing board would have to act again to recognize another group. So the current policy as it stands would allow for that to occur without a policy change. The proposed policy as adopted in recognizing GEA as the recognized entity to conduct the meet and confer process, unless that was a sub-organization of GEA, it would require a policy change. Does that answer your question? So let me give you another example. In another school district that has a very established MOU, their MOU provided for how an entity was going to be the recognized entity within the body of that agreement. And they actually had an administrators organization attempt to become recognized under that, and they didn't meet those specific criteria. So that's something that could be developed in one of two ways, either by governing board policy or by the negotiated agreement. Did that answer, Ms. Bartels?
Just unfortunately makes it seem even muckier than I already feel like it's getting.
Okay.
Because we are trying as a group to move forward in as challenging a circumstances we can possibly be in. My fear is that other groups are going to come forward and then heaven help us if for whatever reason the board decides not to recognize anybody else and give them that voice too.
You know, there's always fear in change. We can sit and discuss how this could happen and this could happen and this could happen, but we're not going to know until we actually move forward. There's definitely needs to be a change. You know, we all know that, we all recognize it. To go forward with a vote on a proposed policy would give some kind of foundation, so to speak, so that if maybe next year things have changed and somebody else wants to bring forward a different policy to tweak the one that's already there or whatever, then we can take a look at it then. But I think, you know, here we are at the end of September, getting towards the end of September, and I think there needs to be, we need to move forward with this policy. There has been the mention that it could be a divisive well, something that's going to bring us back to where there was that division within the district, but you know, that's a totally different, the circumstances surrounding that do not exist anymore. So we can't even look at that as being something to be fearful of, because it's no longer here, and it hasn't been here for a while. So my suggestion is to go ahead with the readings on the proposed policy as presented by GEA, to go ahead and vote on it. If it does not get voted on, then we bring in the next one, take a look at that, and or if the proposed policy by GEA, if we do agree on that, then next year you want to take a look at something else, then we take a look at another proposed policy change.
You know, you said that that there needs to be change, but I'm going to disagree with that. I don't believe that there does need to be change.
Over half the
I
staff
feel
said.
like that, you know, we have asked our superintendent to go about and do some business and to work on the working conditions. And if you get a report from him and he reports, I've asked him, and Mr. Quintana, what is the report you get on the working conditions and how it's working and the process that we're having now? I have never had anyone come up in a public meeting except for them coming up here and say, we want to change. I have not had any letters. I have not heard anything at all from anybody except that that just one group wants to have sole representation as that. I have not, so I do not believe that there does need to be change. So, you know, if there is a problem, then it should be, Mr. Quintana says he has a good relationship, you know, with GEA. And if that's the deal, then
Well, then that's good. Then maybe at the negotiations table, there wouldn't be any huge changes in working conditions if things are running smooth. And then maybe that's something we don't have to worry about, or they don't have to worry about, because that was brought up as another fear, is that, something that could happen that would cause a division if they're with the working conditions. But if everybody's happy with the way things are, then that doesn't need to be at the table.
well, you know, if you're going to put the one policy on the board agenda, then I want the other one on there also. I want both of them on there. And so just
Well,
let
I'm
you
going
know
to
that.
suggest, and I'm going to suggest to the board and that we move forward with the one policy and then come back with the second, because otherwise we're going to have a lot of confusion and a lot of wasted time. We've already been discussing.
That's okay, but I
the-
can still put things on the agenda that I would like to have put on there too. So you can do it
Can
your
we-
way also.
Can we at least have the opportunity for the administration and GEA and the attorneys to at least sit down and have a discussion with regards to the two of
I
them?
think those
Because
discussions have
the
been
one has-
ongoing.
If it's already caused this much division just sitting up here, you know, I can't help but look at the recommended, well, even the new one that was brought up, and looking at them and saying this is too much of the process, not policy. And the more restrictive we have it, then there is no wiggle room. There is no discussion about changing it until the following year. But I'm also concerned with the working conditions because me personally, I think it's insanity, you know, doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different outcome. And waiting until we sit down and have negotiations for the next year with regards to issues we've had for this year, we are not going to make any positive changes. The process of trying to correct things at the site levels, and if it doesn't work there, going to the Superintendent's Advisory Council to try to change those things. If we restrict administration's hands, then we're also shooting ourselves in the foot too, because we're saying we want to see A, B, and C with regards to student achievement, and we could potentially be tying our administrators' hands as well.
Mr. Samaniego?
Madam Chairman, just, hello? Hello, hello? Hello? Thank you. Just for the purposes of trying to limit our discussion, I think, we could probably beat this thing to death. I'm in agreement with you, Madam Chair, with regards to process, so that we look at the first proposal that was brought to us, and then we asked our attorney to take it to the AEA or GEA attorney, and then come back to us, so that, I think just for process purposes, I think that's the way I would like to deal with it as well, too. Let's just go with that first one, and then we'll start there, and then if there's heartburn about that and people want to make changes or whatever, then, I think that's what our job is. We'll review it, take a look at it, and bring it to a vote up or down. That's our job, to vote it up or down, and then we'll go forward. If it passes, we go forward. If it doesn't, then we go back to the drawing board and redo it.
All right. Any other discussion? Okay. All right, we are at 13, future meetings and events. Mr. Quintana?
Mrs. Wilson, members of the board, I apologize. I was just kind of deep in thought here. On October the 1st, we have a tentative meeting scheduled. I know that we made a commitment to try to limit to only one meeting a month when possible. And Mrs. Di Pasquale can give additional information, but Mr. Barragan and the administration at this time is recommending that we have the governing board consider approving the sale of bonds. And if we choose to go forth, we have some deadlines to meet, and it would be necessary to meet those deadlines for the governing board to act on October 1st and consider giving the administration approval to proceed with the sale of those bonds. So I am respectfully recommending that we have a governing board meeting on October the 1st for that purpose. And Mrs. Di Pasquale, can you share a little bit more about the bond issues? Ready?
Yes, we have been working with our financial advisor to prepare for selling. We're just finishing up. We have, I think, have less than $1 million left from our last sale, and there are still a number of projects to be completed. So we think it would be good now before, the market or the legislature becomes more volatile to take advantage of the timing to sell the bonds now. In addition to having the bond issue on the October 1st agenda, we would also have our annual financial report for fiscal year 14-15 on the agenda as well. By statute, that must be approved by October 15th, which is why that October 1st date was set just prior to our fall break.
So is this meeting then in lieu of the October 8th?
I do not believe that it is. I'm guessing it could be if we hustled and gathered agenda items, but I think that question can best be answered by our assistant superintendents who may or may not have items for the October 8th meeting.
That's a good idea, Madam Chair. I'd recommend that.
Well, the only reason why I say that is I'm on,
Mrs. Sagata-Jones, Dr. Goodwin? What type of timeline issues or concerns would that potentially create for you if we don't meet on the 8th?
I don't know.
Right, if I may just interject, October 8th was not placed on the calendar originally for this year because that falls on the
Oh,
fall break.
I'm sorry, we have a meeting scheduled for October 22nd. Thank you.
Okay.
So,
Are you on fall break the week of the 5th or the week of the 12th?
Oh, I'm sorry, okay.
The week of the 8th? That's good, because I'm on fall break then, so. So the 22nd is,
let me look at my calendar on the 22nd.
I won't be here on the 22nd.
the 20th, so the week,
So October 1st and 22nd?
22nd.
I won't be here on the 22nd.
Okay.
I'm in Albuquerque.
First, and who
That
won't be
would
here the
sound like it's
22nd?
necessary.
Sure.
We gotta get
Won't
that
be here the
done.
22nd?
The 22nd, I am here, and this would be an appropriate time to share, and I can blame it on my wife, but I was not aware of the potential bond sale situation here, and my wife purchased airline tickets for us to attend a reunion for her, so I would not be here on October 1st, but
Barragan will be here.
yes, he will be here, and then Dr. Goodwin, being our longest-standing assistant superintendent, could sit in on my place here on
Joe, when is fall break?
It's the week of the...
Week of the 12th.
12th through the 15th,
16th.
12th through the 16th,
Thank you.
October 12th through 16th. So our next meeting would then be the week after.
That's good.
The 15th?
Yes.
22nd.
I mean, the 22nd?
So we would have a significant gap between the 1st and the 22nd, if we choose to proceed on the 1st to consider the sale of bonds.
Well, but then we also have the budget that is due by the 15th.
Yes,
So no matter what, we
yes.
have to have a meeting.
Yeah, get
before-
whatever agenda items you need for the 1st so we can get that taken care of.
Okay, So a board meeting on the 1st and the 22nd.
What time?
That would be our normal time unless we view this meeting as, Sarah, from the financial standpoint, what can you estimate what type of, how much discussion and the potential length of that meeting on the first? Because I assume that our financial advisors would be here to present information, is that correct?
There is one broken one over there now.
You could use mine.
You can just talk, there's not very many people.
Yes, both our financial consultant and our bond counsel will be present at the October 1st meeting to explain.
And can you anticipate how much time they would need, and of course, taking into consideration governing board questions and so forth?
Well, I would think because we've been through this, this is the last of this bond authorization, that it should go fairly quickly, 20 minutes, and I would estimate probably 10 to 15 minutes for the AFR and capital spending plans.
So based on that information, Mrs. Wilson, members of the board, if the governing board chooses to start at 5, let's say, opposed to 5:30, that's certainly doable.
Or 6.
Or 6, right? Or 6,
5 is
because it'll be
6
brief.
is good.
Swim meets.
Oh, yeah. But it should be brief. We could be out of here by 6:30-ish if we start at 6
Okay.
or whatever.
What time?
6 to 6:30?
That's fine for me.
That's
Either
okay.
one, 5 or 6.
Okay.
All right, 6
Thank
o'clock.
you.
And then regular
So-
time for the 22nd, right?
So, excuse me, so that's 6 PM on October 1st?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And we'll stick with the regular time slot for the 22nd.
Yes, and on the 1st, that will be a 6 o'clock start, correct?
And the 22nd?
At 5:30.
5:30.
5:30?
5:30?
Yes.
All right, then, we're at 13B, agenda item requests. Anyone at this time? Okay, if you think of something, you can email. All right, summary of current events. Mr. Quintana?
Yes, Mrs. Wilson, members of the governing board, although still slightly concerned but feeling much better than we were 3 weeks ago, our student counts have bounced back, and as of last week, I believe, or Tuesday, we are still about 53 students short of our end-of-year count. But the first week of school, we were about 900 to 1,000 kiddos. We still have to do some work on our end to continue to explore ways that we can get our kiddos in their seats from day one. You know, traditionally, our graph looks fairly close to the graphs that we've, graph lines over the last 4 or 5 years, where our kids tend to slowly trickle in over the first 3 weeks. And if we're going to continue to make the academic push that we're making, it's important that our kids be here on time. So we are working as an administrative team to explore ways that we can work with our parents to get our kids in day one, but we have made up a significant amount of kids. I'm pleased to share that. I did speak to Liz yesterday. I did happen to go by her home. She says she feels better, she looks better, and called me today and was a bit disappointed because she was expecting to be released today to return to work on Monday. And the doctor says he would prefer that they take precautions and reevaluate next week. Stacy has been working really hard, doing a great job. We appreciate all of her efforts, and we'll continue to plug along, and we want Liz to get well and be healthy when she gets back. And I already mentioned the October 1st meeting and my inability to be there that day. So that's all I have tonight, Mrs. Wilson, members of the board.
All right, and the governing board, Mr. Samaniego?
Very brief. I want to thank you, Joe, for that report on Liz, and please share with her to take care of herself, be healthy, and a big thank you to Stacy for filling in. She's doing a tremendous job, on my behalf. Thank you very much.
Ms. Smith?
I attended the parent gifted talk that they had here in this boardroom on Wednesday morning, and I just want you to know that there was a room full of parents that were here that were all concerned about, how their gifted children are being educated, and Shannon Bernal did a really nice job of explaining the philosophies that we have, and I would just encourage us to just make sure that we're always including our parents in the conversations, when we're at the schools. That's kind of just what I got from that meeting. And then a second thing is, I was at a church meeting on Sunday, and there was a community group that was speaking to our church, and their acronyms are IRC, so I guess you can look them up. They're called rescue.org, and they deal with a lot of the refugees. And as I was sitting there listening, to them, they provide a lot of support to the refugees, and I know that we are continually getting more, and they reinforce that we are getting more, at least a couple hundred more refugee families into our district, and this company is based in our community, and I just think there just has to be some creative thinking of how we involve our churches or communities, these organizations, and our school district to just be able to help our children. And I hope that we can just come up with a way that we can, you've had these business breakfasts that we can channel, some of our maybe we can get people just to volunteer to do something more to help the children that are coming into our community.
Mrs. Sagata Jones is meeting with members of the IRC in the near future related to some concerns and some suggestions as to how we can be more strategic with their help and cooperation in distributing the kids in a manner that is going to allow us to serve them better. And I did share with her that the church is willing to assist and help, and so she will explore that with them as well.
Okay, Ms. Bartels?
I'd just like to remind anybody, if you could spread the word, there will be volunteers riding bicycles to 2 of our schools delivering books, and, please ask people not to run us over in the morning. But that will be delivering books to Horizon and Sunset Vista.
The new crosswalk at Horizon is just a great addition. It's working out very well. But also, if anybody has any time left tonight, till 9 o'clock, I believe there is our councilman, Mr. Aldama, is holding a meeting about the light rail at Isaac Imes Gymnasium tonight till 9 o'clock. And I do believe it's important. It could affect some of our community members from our schools. So I'll be anxious to hear a little bit more about that. I believe we do have district representation there.
Mr. Gilliam is there this evening.
Good. Okay, so maybe we get a little report on that. But so that's...
Mrs. Wilson, if I may, and I know I had my turn, but I forgot to mention, and some of you may have seen the Facebook post that went up either yesterday or the day before, but Mr. Barragan has quietly, Mr. Barragan, Mrs. Di Pasquale, and their team has quietly been working behind the scenes, and recently we were notified that we're being awarded $480,000 to address some structural concerns and issues at Challenger School, Landmark School, and, sir, I believe one other school, correct? And I think most of us know that the School Facilities Board has not been
Helpful?
Funding?
well, they've not been
Generous.
funding many projects recently, so I'm not quite sure what magic. Mike and Sarah and the team worked to get that done, and they're fairly optimistic that we may get another wave to address some of our other structural issues. And in this case, in these two cases, we're talking about separating walls and sinking floors and things along those lines. So we're extremely pleased that they have been willing to assist us with that and the work that they've done to make that happen.
Nice. All right, if there are no other comments or anything, again, Stacy, thank you so much, appreciate it. And I'll need a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Motion
You're
passes.
staying overnight.